We'll open the floor for the delegates to share their thoughts.
By equity, are you saying equality or a share of the action?
Well, see, I think what happens, we get sidetracked by discussions of equality. Because equality can't exist without equity. And what I mean, equity is that we all have a share. Okay, but when we sidetrack people with that old equality thing, we never get to the bottom line, which is, that's why we have people living in poverty for generations, because they've never been diversified. You know what I'm saying? They only know one thing. And we educate them that way to know one thing. But if we want them to improve, we broaden their scope. We give them diversity, because when you have a diverse education, what does that mean? You have more options. And when you don't have any options, it's hell getting out of the hole. You know what I'm saying? So don't get sidetracked by all these phony dialogues about racism. Hell, I don't care if you don't like my complexion. I don't care. Just give me some equity and I'll make myself look good, for sure. And so what, for centuries we have been sidetracked with these phony conversations. Oh, I love you and you love me. That sounds good. But if I can't buy my kids food and clothing, what the hell I care if you love me or not? You know, so anyway, we get sidetracked by those philosophical conversations. But when you get down to the nuts and bolts, you really should be talking about equity and diversity, learning how to bring different people with different concerns and create a commonality. Food is a commonality. We all eat food. We just need to figure out ways to get people around that common theme at the table from different backgrounds. Because equity is the key. And trust me, if we don't do that, it's like a cyclical kind of problem. It never goes away. We might feel good for a month or two when we look like we're making some progress, but because we don't have equity, it comes back around again.
Thank you, Azal. I absolutely agree with that, because that's what we also say. It's not mindless and arrogant charity, but humble and involved social justice that is wanting in our world. Yeah.
I had a quick question, Azal. Up until now, by and large, all of those efforts that have gone on around the world to achieve equity, to give people equity, to find a way to ensure that people have equity, are bound within nation states and within the boundaries of nation states. I mean, even when we look at the fundamental duties that are listed behind where you're sitting there, it's very much about a nation state. But in terms of the fact that some of those problems potentially can't be solved purely within a nation state, and we now live in a joined up world which is not about people being defined purely by often accidental or artificially created national boundaries. So do you have thoughts about how you take that equity to the next step in a global sense, in a whole world sense, as opposed to just in a country by country sense?
Well, give you, for example, I mean, there are international corporations, believe it or not, have tried to help in many different ways. The problem is when somebody finds out that they're helping somebody else, everything gets politicized. Then so corporations no longer can make clear-cut decisions now because it's political. So now they've got to figure out, well, whose back do I rub now, you know, and who do I please? Where at first they really had a sense of humanity and wanted to help, but we let it get politicized. And the reason why it gets politicized, because we don't go in asking for equity up front. We figure that out up front. And then we create a process that is not politicized, that we're really sticking to the real needs. And that's what I find. I'm going to be working with Toyota. They're coming in and working with one of our youth programs. But what was amazing, it blew me away. Toyota came in as like this little raggedy building where we teach kids music and stuff like that. I had no idea when they told us that they were coming, that the president of Toyota and 45 guys showed up from the corporation. Now, what I have to deal with, how do we create equity when we begin to discuss with them? Not get greedy and go like, give me the money, and we'll just do something. No, I want to go in and say, how do we create equity that this thing can be around for years and years to come? And to me, that's how we have to negotiate with, if we're blessed that a corporation would come in and help us. We can't waste their time over some frivolous kind of stuff, you know.
Thank you, Harsal. Any other thoughts? Sanjay?
Yeah, one very quick one. This is really for Praveen. So in the UN, for achieving the goals, has there been a lot of discussion about innovation? You know, because I haven't heard that being mentioned as yet, and at least I feel that if you're going to, and especially with so many technological changes, like we talked about the mobiles, they're available everywhere else, and at least my field is financial inclusion. And I think that financial inclusion could be done very soon, and just as we made money from licensing spectrum, we could actually make money from licensing circles for financial inclusion, because the financial wallet is much bigger than the telecom wallet. But so I know stuff in finance, but I'm sure there are other people who know stuff in health and in so on and so forth. And one big thing about innovation, which blocks it, is the actual incumbents who are there, because there are many vested interests who want to stop innovation. So bodies like the UN and regulators and governments can do a lot to promote innovation. So is there any thinking around this in the UN?
Yeah. See, I'm not a UN person, but I'm an outsider. Yeah, being associated with a few UN, organizations and people, innovation definitely is one key thing which they're looking at. And in 2009, after the mid report which came out, there was a call for accelerated progress to even reach this current targets. That's when they really thought about looking at the technology and getting people's participation and so on. And even this technology bit which I talked about, which is being piloted in Philippines, in India, and now in Kenya, it took 2.5 years to actually getting it rolling to the ground. And definitely, as you said, there were a lot of vested interests all right through the whole process, outside in the system, in the government, civil society, technology, platform, everything. It takes time, and the whole process definitely takes time. And yes, in the next thing, whatever is going to happen, innovation and use of technology is going to be one of the key things. And I do agree with you that financial inclusion should be one of the major areas if you're looking at even MDG 1 or something relevant to that.
Thank you, Praveen. We'll now move on with the next discussion leader. Mr. Bangia will just do this and save your thought for the next round. Yes, yeah.
The two-term directors, they are giving Peacock Award and all other awards every year.
Right.
They organized a seminar, a World Congress at Bombay in January 2000. And the subject was Innovate or Vanish. They discussed with this 2000. I just want to share with you because I was working with them as joint director there that time.
Thank you, Mr. Bangia.